6 o'clock. Everybody please join in his pledge. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So did you bring in the necessary? I'm sorry, no, we were just talking about it before you got here.
If I can
bless you.
impose on Mr. Bennett to take the minutes, since our scribe is not here this evening. He has a medical procedure he had a prep for today, so. In fact, he had a couple of things. I discussed that with him and said he wouldn't be coming, so if you can.
You get your first day off.
Okay. Minutes of the meeting. Everybody should have it in their packets.
Hang on a
if they
minute,
don't.
gotta get my act together.
What do you want? Okay, it's official. All right, I make a motion to approve the minutes from June 21st, 2017.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. The date, it should be, I believe, the 28th.
June 28th?
What happens when you're doing too early?
Somebody knows where we are.
Okay, that was motion by Julie
Yeah.
and second. Deb.
Right. Any further discussion?
My name's spelled wrong.
Noted.
Bulow, it's B-U-E-L-O-W. And I have it as the second note is B-E-U-L-O-W.
B-U-E, correct?
B-U-E.
It's B-U.
Okay.
Thank
It's
you.
in the email, it's B-E.
It's correct in the present line,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
the
that's what I was
following
gonna-
line,
Uh,
It's simple.
Change.
simple
Oh,
change.
okay, the first
present
line is
line is-
okay.
yes.
The second one isn't?
Where it says I arrived at,
that?
yeah, that one.
Okay, I got it.
You got
You're the
that?
first one here this
That's
time?
dyslexic.
Today I was, yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting
Looking at an old man
better.
now.
No, we've all done that, you know, so
I
don't
know.
feel bad.
Any other-
Wilson.
Any other discussion or changes? Seeing and hearing none? Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes?
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. This is the budget to actual dated 6/29. Like we did the last time, we'll go page by page. If there's any questions? Any questions on page 1?
Nope.
Okay. Page 2?
I had a question to town council expenses.
Yes.
I thought they were gonna pay town council whatever was in the account. And then the transfer would cover what needed to be.
Right, my understanding is that it was not this last selectman meeting, but the one before that, they said they were gonna make a partial payment, or at least my understanding was they were gonna make a partial payment. Because that was a suggestion that we had made.
this doesn't reflect that, so that's why I brought it up.
Anything else on page 2?
The planning board administrative assistant,
Yep.
now they had that Carl, and he's gone, right?
That's what?
Carl was there,
Yes.
and then he's gone, so what are they doing? Paying one of the girls
I-
out of every
I
department?
believe that they have filled that
Or
position.
did they?
Yes.
Okay, I was just curious.
There's a young lady in there.
Okay, well, that's good
I
to
say
know.
young, she's probably middle age, younger than me.
Oh, that's young.
Keep digging.
I guess anybody's younger than me.
Yeah.
Anything else on page 2?
No.
Page 3?
I had questions about the police department salaries. That's one of the lines that's gonna be transferred.
Yes.
45,000 from police department salaries. And then, also under firefighter EMS salaries, there'll be a transfer out of that.
Yep.
And I thought that was the account that was underfunded for FY18, but I think, how much money has been pulled out of firefighter EMS? I don't know if I have that documentation with me. It just, I just don't understand why, you know.
17.5.
Okay. And then as we go further along, you'll find that, the 911 grant
Yep.
was overexpended. But that's, we're not at that page yet, but then we come back to, I don't understand, it seems like money's being shuffled from one to the other to cover certain things. But if the 911 grant is overexpended and there's no transfer to, I don't know what happens at that point.
My only question about the police is that there was a substantial increase over the last couple of years for police salaries. And to take 45,000, it's, at least it's my estimation, it looks like it was overfunded. And it didn't go down this time of year. They can get in line with that.
Right, and if firefighter EMS salaries are underfunded in FY18 by $100,000, then why is there so much money left over?
Are they understaffed? Do they have vacancies?
Not that
They
I know
might,
of.
yeah. 'Cause I think they were gonna hire
Well, I
two
know
people, which would have created the
one of the things
$100,000
that they were using
shortfall.
full-time equivalents during the year that Chief Laporte had set up, rather than have somebody full-time, they were doing full-time equivalents. They were somehow having people work those shifts that they needed to,
Mhm.
but they weren't full-time. They were equivalent, they had a number of people that they were spreading the salary out to, for weekend coverage and night coverage, is my understanding as to how that was working.
It's a lot, the police department salaries, there's a lot of money sitting there. A lot of money.
Well, that's part of the transfer. I mean,
Yeah.
that should flush out to free cash.
But it shouldn't be, we
But-
shouldn't have that much sitting there now.
Right.
If I had to guess, it looks like there's probably 2 vacancies in there, and that's probably where
I'm
the money
looking
comes
at the
from.
police expenses, which is another,
Hmm.
I mean, they're only at 50%
Right.
expenses that they asked for 60, and they haven't even, they spent just a little over 50%.
Well, the next fiscal year is gonna be a real tough one, so nobody is going to be able to pad their budget. Because if they pad their budget, some other budget's gonna get hurt.
But yet we leased a vehicle,
Hmm?
and just seems as though we have cash for the police
Just
expenses.
speak up, can't hear you.
Oh, I'm just curious, I mean, I just remember the lease vehicle that we did out for the 4 years, just recently.
That was under a warrant, that comes out of a different
Yeah.
area.
Okay.
Curious, so.
Well, I would recommend that the two salary, that once we get into the transfers, we look back at that to make sure, do a little bit of math, make sure we have some money in both of those accounts.
Yeah.
Anything else on page 3? Page 4.
I had a question about the snow and ice removal expenses.
Yeah.
On this sheet, the expenditure sheet, it comes out as a negative 131,775.
Yeah.
On the backup material for snow and ice that we received, it was negative 128,812.97. And the request is for the 131,755.08. I'm not sure why the backup material that we received for snow and ice doesn't match what's here, because snow and ice was, they didn't use that after April. So whatever was charged off to that should have already been charged off. That's not like you have to wait until June 29th to get that last bill in. I've got my spreadsheet here that we got in detail for the last meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at I'm not even looking at the total detail, I'm just looking at the amount on the last sheet. And it's 128,812.97. That should match with the request, is
That
correct?
was, what was the date on that?
That was 6/12. So I don't know why they don't match. It matches the expenditure ledger, but the backup doesn't match the
Right.
expenditure.
Right.
That's the point I'm making.
Interesting. Okay. Anything else on page 4?
No, but I have a question, I'm sorry. On page 3,
Yes.
the last line item is the animal inspector expenses, and she's got $500 and she spent 0. So-
Animal inspector?
Yeah.
Yes.
What,
No.
what are they gonna do with that? Like,
That basically is what they used to call barn inspections. The individual would go around and check all the animals for the different farms in town
They're supposed
to
to do
take and
that.
check on their, and they're supposed to do that.
Every year they're supposed to do
What I've seen in the past, and I can only say what I've seen in the past, is that person usually puts in, or has put in, at the very end of the year. I don't know if there is an individual that's covering that. Because there was some discussion about having it under the Board of Health, and I'm not sure if that's still under the Board of Health.
well,
What's that?
The animal
I
inspector.
was told the animal inspector still exists,
that.
You know,
and is she not doing her job? I mean, why is she have 0% variance?
Well, one of the things that we found out a number of years ago is that it's required to have an animal inspector within the community.
Right.
And the minimum that has to be put in is the $500, I believe, as expenses.
Well, if they're paying
And
her out of Board of Health.
They've typically been doing that
then
for the
we
last
shouldn't put
number of
$500
years.
in.
Right.
So something's funny.
But what I'm saying is, yeah, something's funny. This doesn't seem right.
Yep. I'll have to I'll ask, if you don't mind, I'll ask Lori, and find out if they paid that out of some account with the Board of Health instead of getting it from
Well,
here.
if that's not taken, and then, because we won't know until they end up doing the end of the year.
Yep.
Which is They have until the 15th that they can end up finalizing the books, and they'll do the end of the year budget to actual at that particular time.
Then it may be gone.
And we would see whether or not that was expensed, or that would be money that's left over and go into the general fund, and that would be the question of, did we have somebody or not at that time? Cause I can't tell you if they have somebody or not.
Well, they told me they had somebody.
They
There-
did.
Yeah, there is a person, because there was a meeting, I don't know, 2013, somewhere. And there was a man from the State Department of Agriculture, and he came and he explained all the stuff about the animal inspector, the ins and outs. And it ended up being, instead of hiring an employee, there was a person who volunteered, and this $500 is for the expenses within the community. Someone that has dogs and chickens and horses, and go around and check on the conditions, mainly of the horses, but whatever calls they get to check on, such as kennels.
And the cows.
And it's quite possible that the entire 500 is in there, because as Will stated, maybe they're just gonna cut them a check at the end of the fiscal year,
Yeah.
which is why that money is still there. It's just my thought, it's a possibility, but I know that was the way it was set up. They, rather than hiring or having the Board of Health agent do it, and it got sticky because they were being paid 2 checks, basically for, the job. It came into some mass general law stuff. So there was a lady, an individual who, quote
She has a
unquote,
farm.
volunteered, and
Yeah,
she
she
has
has a farm.
animals.
Oh, I
and
know she has a
was gonna do
farm.
that, and, that was the way it was set up. To the best of my knowledge, I think she's still doing it, and that's my only thought or explanation of why that 500 would still be there, is they wait till the end of the year. And like I say, there's an additional 2 weeks to close the
Well,
books out.
I just
so-
think it's,
Yeah, it would be, but that's my only thought of an explanation of why that money was still there, that they just pay her at the end of the year, or that she submits her
but
stuff.
pay her for what is the question?
She
And she has
goes
to
into
go to
the,
every barn, she has to do them all.
Right.
And she has to look at them, she has to fill out a paper so that she proves that she's been there. And if there's a problem, then she has to take them to court,
Animal
Right.
if
control
they don't clean up their
is-
act. So
Right,
she
I
has to
just
make
find it
sure-
weird that she hasn't,
Well,
either she
maybe-
hasn't been there, or, I
No,
don't know.
maybe at the end of the year, they'll cut her that
well,
money.
one of the ways that we would find
500
that out
bucks ain't
is,
much.
even if
Oh,
they
I
take
know.
the money out of there, is the treasurer used to, they could end up putting everybody's salary, and you could see that individual, and they would receive that money. They haven't put it in
The annual report.
in the annual report. It's typically an annual report, where that would be filed.
Right. Well, I don't know, I just say for future reference, the people that put in at the end of the year should be putting in before the 30th. I mean, this is printed on the 29th.
Yep.
Just, it makes our lives easier, I think, if you see
I don't
it.
disagree with you.
I think they should put in,
But they have, they can clear the books all the way up until the 15th of July.
right. So you can't really even go by this. as-
Okay.
I know.
Right,
That was
moving
check-
on.
It's a
that was
best guess.
3 and 4, that's page 5.
Well, the library is being cleaned. Mr. Henshaw got hurt. He's laid up. And they do have a guy, the same guy that does the senior center, but I don't know what they're paying him out of, because they never appropriated any money for maintenance.
Well, one of the things that they did in that, and I don't know why, but they have an account number for a maintenance person under the library, under the Council of Aging, and also under the Board of Selectmen for this building.
So they should get,
When they did the budget for this particular year in 17, they lumped it under Bolton Library wages when they had a separate account number. I don't know why. We questioned that, and we didn't get a good answer.
but I know it's the same person that does them all.
Right. Yes, He said he was going over because the individual was injured and he couldn't do it, and he was doing
Yeah.
that one also.
Yep.
Any other questions on page 5? Page 6.
Looks like all the previous questions that we had about short-term, long-term interest have been worked out by now,
Yep.
so that's a good thing.
Wow.
There's no questions on page 6. Page 7.
Page 6 is a heart stopper.
It's a lot of money. I had a question under CPC fund, the Community Preservation Fund. We have 2 entries for the same year for Scout Hall with 2 different amounts. And I'm not sure why. Fourth one down says Scout Hall, and that was for 24,000 allocated, and there's still 16,000 left. And then a little further down, it says Scout Hall, same annual town meeting, and that was for 26,000. So I don't know, were they 2 separate projects? I thought it was all the same.
I believe they had for heating, and then they broke it into insulation.
Okay, so they
But
were,
I won't swear to that, but
okay,
I thought it was broken up. They went twice.
all right,
Because I think the first issue was the heating
yeah.
that they had to address because of they had problems with the heating system. Page 8. Oh, there's no, did I get page 8? No, there's no page 8. Is there? Oh, page 8, yes?
Yep, page
Okay.
8.
There's a blank one.
Can we go back a second?
Yes. Where would you
Page
like to
you
go
on?
back to?
Back to 7. Grange Hall,
Yes.
$73,160. What in the name of God is that, I wonder?
That was from
That was,
2014.
they're supposed to be redoing the windows.
Yeah.
That was allocated,
The building is
I think,
not-
3 years
It
ago.
was.
And because it's done on the historical
Yep.
and the amount that they put into that building, the windows have to meet the requirement for historic buildings.
Oh
And that
my
was the big
God.
holdup.
Okay, that's just one more building we need to take care of, like a hole in the
No,
head.
that's a private building.
Yeah, I know,
It's not a town building.
no.
That's not a town building, it's historical society. Page 8, anything? Page 9.
The library's got some money.
Turner Park, is that the one in East Templeton?
I don't know. Jeffrey, do you know where Turner Park is?
Is that on Schoolhouse Road?
That little field?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's up South Main, the heck.
It's off of one of these roads in East Templeton.
Yeah, that's what
I
it is.
know there's a
It's
ball
little-
field in there.
It's a
'cause
little,
my
little,
kids, when they were
little
in Little
ball
League,
field.
were there, and I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I don't think you go up South Main and take
What,
first left, second left, I think. It's back in,
Right, it's a back road, and then it's
You lost
it's
it
available
no
from 2
problem.
roads,
yeah.
yeah. it's
what
2
is
sides.
hospital cottage expenses?
I don't know, because the hospital cottages doesn't exist anymore, pretty much. So, unless that's money for the graves that they uncovered years ago.
Oh, yes, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
they
could
would
be
take
it.
care of that, yeah.
only thing I can think of.
Okay. Page 10. Here's where we come into some negatives.
Yeah. Under the COA revolving mart expenses, it's overexpended by $17,929.48. And I thought this was gonna be resolved.
Nothing's coming up.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanna make, okay.
Yeah.
I was looking up Turner Park on here, so nothing came up. Wanna make sure we were on the same page.
Same page.
When was the Friendly Van revolving expense account open?
Before,
Oh,
That was, is that the Friends of the COA?
must be.
I have to check,
That's an odd amount, $4.59.
They spent it.
Friendly van.
Well, COA revolving mart was supposed to be resolved, it still isn't, from the looks of it.
Right.
Find out what's going on.
Did the mark fees go up unexpectedly this past year? So that's why it's so much higher than they, does anybody know why it's so high?
We had this problem last year too.
Spend more money than they have. Problem we have in this town.
Has anybody looked at,
I don't know. I think the explanation that we got the last time we asked was that this would be resolved, because the state the money hadn't come in from the state yet to reimburse this account. That's what we were told.
but MART that's driving, correct? Isn't
Yeah.
that driving?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's picking the seniors up, dropping them
van.
off,
Right,
bringing
the
them.
van, all that
Right,
stuff,
they-
the gas.
The mart picks up that cost.
So,
And they pick up a portion of the COA director's salary.
Remember,
And
they weren't gonna cover, when she got that
as
second,
much,
that
right.
second raise, they said they wouldn't cover that.
Right,
So that might be part of that.
I don't know.
I don't know, we have to find out, I guess.
Page 11.
All right, this is where we come into the E911 grant expenses. So this is expenses, not salaries. Has been
Oh,
overexpended
God.
$22,000.
Almost 23.
Right. I don't know how you fix that or what you do for a grant. I don't know how you can overexpend a grant. I didn't think you could do that, but we did.
The information that we received just the last time,
There.
I didn't put it on this meeting because I felt we could probably have to address that at the next meeting, because that might be a lengthy discussion.
Okay.
has anybody ever looked at that 911 grant?
Well, we got the information last meeting. It was a whole bunch of material on what it was expended on, what the grant money was expended on. Because some of it was expended on salaries and some was expended on different things.
Hubbardston must be taking priority.
Huh?
Must be running to Hubbardston.
Oh. The
Yeah, we're
trouble
kinda
with-
boring.
Trouble with grants, you never know if you're gonna get one the next year.
You know,
So if you become dependent on that money and all of a
That's
sudden
why
it's
we
not
asked that
there,
the last time,
you're
as to,
screwed.
they're using the 911 grant for salaries
They've been
and
doing
we
that
got
for
a
years,
sheet-
I think.
at last minute.
For dispatch. They were
Right.
using the 911 grant for dispatch salaries, which I think is allowable. We have to go through that information and figure out what's spent on dispatch salaries, what's spent on equipment, because some of it was spent on equipment as well.
but a lot of that equipment that dispatchers use and police departments use is not even, it's owned by the state. So if you have an issue, you call the state, they come fix it.
Okay.
So that's why I'm sure they give you a grant, you know, so
Uh-huh.
that you can use it
Right.
and be trained on it properly and have it there for
Is
emergencies.
that what you do? Do you do dispatch?
Well, I used, yeah, but that's neither here nor there.
No, it is, it's good.
I used to. The question is that negative $22,000 is just, I'd be interested, I don't know,
That and the COA, because there's really no money to fill those holes. If it doesn't come from somewhere else.
Those are revolving accounts. Well, the COA is a revolving account.
But if they weren't going to contribute half of the last raise, then who knows if we'll ever get reimbursed. Understand?
I'm just wondering if it's overtime, a lot of overtime
I
being,
don't know.
Right, but
And
why
both-
wouldn't they take it out of like police salaries or do a transfer from police salaries to dispatch if it was overtime? Because we're making a transfer of $45,000 out of police salaries. Why would you
Right.
run this account into the negative?
that's why I'd like to see the, I don't know. You said they sent it to us?
Ask the police.
We did get that information.
Ask the police
Yeah.
chief to come in.
That'll
Explain
be-
it.
That'll be the discussion next week. Primarily this week here is because of these documents, the end-of-year transfers, because we have to certain times to take and end up finishing those, and we have to have them done today, because by the 15th, all transfers and everything is supposed to be completed.
Right.
So I just honed in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause they have to be done by the 15th.
Right.
Mm.
On page 12, is there any questions on page 12? Seeing there none on 12, on 13?
It was good to see the amount for chapter 90 in there and how much was left.
Yep.
I know they have the engineering, I think they've got one more year of engineering for Royalston Road to come out of that.
Yes, and that's a couple $100,000.
Yeah, so I don't know how many roads they'll get done this season.
That'll impact what we get for roads this year.
Right. So it looks like you could do, a pretty good chunk, or a few roads, but
Yep.
if you take 200,000 off of that, you got 245, and you're not
I
gonna
don't
do
think they
much
got the
with
bill
that.
for Royalston yet for the additional.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Alright.
believe so. I haven't heard anything on that. Page 14.
You don't have anybody working on the highway department anyway.
It's good to see we finally have some positive numbers for the elementary school project.
Yep.
It's not in the red anymore.
No, they took care of the $1.4 million.
Yep.
There's $3.7 million left.
Well, put a little in the COA revolving, put a little under 911 grant, put a little bit here,
Stop,
we'll
don't
be
even
all
give them
set.
ideas,
No, no.
okay?
We'll be all set.
I know you're being facetious.
How many
Okay.
shells you got going over there?
Okay, page 15.
I think this will come into play with the information Beth has.
Yes,
I gotta find my 15
Okay.
and lost.
page 16. There's no overspending on those either.
No, that's a good thing.
And lastly, page 17. Nothing under those? Okay. I'm sure we're gonna end up having big questions at the end of the year one when we receive that. The next ledger,
No, you didn't, you just asked for the cemetery
Yeah.
perpetual care,
Yeah.
not all of those.
the next ledger is, the expense ledger for snow and ice, because of the transfers. Mr. Bennett had asked to get that ledger account, because he knew that we would end up potentially, addressing that. So again, we'll go page by page, if you want to take it, end up doing it that way.
Where is it?
Snow and ice,
Snow and ice.
I think it's attached to that transfer request. I set up my stuff differently.
No.
No, you don't have one? Now you do.
Oh, okay.
That should have been in the packet.
Yeah,
Okay,
She's good. There you go.
I'm
Okay.
good. Rescue it again. I think it's buried in this stuff.
Page one?
No, we're good.
Do we know what the, two items, the 19,000s for Brookside, Templeton, and the 1350 for Whitney and Sons?
No,
Okay.
it doesn't state that. I'm presuming, well, let's see. That was done last,
I believe that was the
August.
truck.
is that the truck?
I believe that was the truck.
Right. Oh, yes, yes, that is the truck. They bought a truck, because they had lost a vehicle,
Now,
and
does-
they paid $19,000 for that from Brookside.
Now, would this still come under the capital planning, requirement? Or because it's snow and ice, is it?
It should have.
It went out to bid. They did do a bid for
They
it.
did go out for bid,
Mhm.
but it, in my estimation, because of the amount that they spend, even though they can put it on the capital plan, but they can end up also showing where the expenditure is coming out of and where it's being funded from. That's what the whole capital plan was set up to do, is to put on what we're gonna end up buying and where we were gonna end up getting the money. In some cases, it was grants, some cases it was donations. I mean, the funding came from different areas other than actual taxation.
Well, I was gonna say, my concern was basically that if we're buying something through snow and ice that was never on the capital plan, there's no reference to it on the capital plan for where, how it was bought, and to upgrade it at any potential time down the future. No plan to, let's say, replace it.
All right. I've got some stuff from capital planning. That's the sewer pump station. Sewer pump station.
This is,
Nah, what's this? No, wrong one. They have about 20 different items, 25 different items on the capital plan
Mm-hmm.
that were put on the plan because they need to be replaced. Whether that truck is one of them,
Well, that's why I asked,
Right.
because I looked and I didn't see anything
right,
specific. I saw one $19,000 item
right.
listed from highway.
I can give you this stuff because.
I think I have it.
Oh, okay, because this is the old stuff, and then this is the newer stuff because of the merger into a DPW. They
DPW.
merged, so do you have the old stuff?
I think that was the last meeting that we had.
This one?
So I think I have that.
All right, do you want this one?
Sure, if
All
you.
right. Yeah, I don't mind. I can part with the
Thank
paper.
you, Julie.
Anything else on page one? Nothing else on the page one? Okay, page two.
did.
Yeah.
I don't need to, so
It was buried.
you get to have two.
Oh, thank
All right,
you.
you lucky woman.
Start a fire with it.
There you go. Not if it gets damp. You won't be able to.
We bought a lot of rock salt.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah,
just
we
thinking
do.
the
It is
exact same thing.
expensive. I wonder if we get a better deal if we bought it all at once.
No, well, you can't, they don't have enough places to store it.
We usually make it like a building and put it in there.
Now, Madigan is, I believe, just end up looking at this, because there's a couple of
Get
them.
parts from him, he's a
There's-
parts guy.
That's a parts place for,
They sell everything from plows, spreaders, spreader parts. They put a lot of trucks together for municipalities. They put on dump bodies, hydraulic systems, valves. They sell lights, toolboxes. They do a whole range of stuff. They're dealers for certain equipment, like highway spreaders. And there's only a few of them, big dealers around, and they're closest. Once in a while, you'll see they buy plow cutting edges and stuff from them. Once in a while, you'll see their tractor trailer, they go around to municipalities. You pay for that convenience, but they come around, you go on the truck, what do you need, you know, look at this, this, and this. That's what they do. So, could be sander parts, could be dump body parts, could be valves, could be a lot of stuff.
nothing on page 2, page 3?
It's more rock salt.
Yeah. You know, they're using that new stuff instead of rock salt, but I think it's killing the trees.
Oh,
You
really?
pre-
The
pre- pre-
grandstand?
Preheat pre-treat the road,
Yeah.
and it's nasty stuff.
We didn't even have I didn't think a bad winter.
No,
No, we really didn't.
what they pay really, aside from the rock salt, is relatively reasonable.
They keep getting those during the year. Nothing on page 3? Page 4?
You know, if you got junk equipment, it's gonna cost you a lot of money to keep it up. No getting away from it.
Nothing on page 4? Page 5? This comes to your question about,
The bottom line.
but the bottom line is 128, 812, and that's as of the 12th. Unless there was a late entry,
I don't know, the last entry made, according to this, was June 2nd, 2017. If I'm reading this right.
Yeah, they wrote a check for $90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which only, if something came in later than that, then that's an issue with the vendors, not billing us on a timely basis, and that should be addressed by somebody.
So
I
you would
mean-
think most vendors would get their bill out and want their money in 30 days. Not too many can afford to not.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just looks like this number should match the request,
You would think.
I would think. That's what I'm thinking.
Anything else? be a question when we get to that, on the transfer. Okay. That leads us up to the transfers. We got the two documents that we looked at leading up to the transfers. Oh, excuse me. Let me address the status of our FY16 report compared to the one that was submitted. Not at this last selectmen's meeting, but the one before. I asked a question about the fact that there was omissions. There was some discussion, and it's my belief that after that meeting, the omissions of the ones that we turned down would also be incorporated into the report, as well as the document showing where we ended up expending money. I haven't heard any more as of this time. But that was a couple weeks ago, and I really have not been able to take it into addressing that in this last week. I've been quite busy with company. Now, that'll be something I can, once my folks have left, I probably can end up doing a follow-up. Okay. This leads us up to actions under Mass General Law 4433B accounts, which is the end of the year transfers. The first one we'll take is the one that was resubmitted, would be for town council expenses.
I looked at the accounts, they're on page 4, that the money is being transferred out of,
Yep.
and there is definitely the money in there to do the transfer.
Okay.
So I will make a motion to approve the transfer from Highway Department wages in the amount of $7,500, Highway Department unknown overtime in the amount of $2,500 to be transferred into town council expenses, a $10,000 transfer.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Bothers me that we don't have a full highway department. This is the time of year that work can get done. And the fact that we're short gives us extra money to spend on other things, but it doesn't do the town roads any good. That's only my personal opinion.
Any other discussion on the transfer? Seeing and hearing none. Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. I will drop this off in the accountant's box after I make copies of both of these. The copies for the administrator and the select board chairman. Is somebody gonna be around tomorrow that could, once I make copies, that can drop them off in the office? Because I won't be available.
I can do it.
You can do it? Okay. So once I make copies, I'll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, to draw
Do you want me to make copies in the select board right now, and then you can just slide them under the door for tomorrow morning?
Well, once we'll finish the other one. I have to take and make copies and then hand those out once they're signed. The next transfer is for stone ice. Total of $131,800 coming from different accounts.
checked the accounts, and again, my questions are, why is there so much money left in police salaries, fire EMS salaries? Those are my questions, and the other question is, I don't know why it does not equal the amount on the, expenditure ledger for snow and ice.
2 weeks ago, when this was first brought up at the selectmen's meeting, it came up that this could be put off to the recap. By putting it off to the recap, that would end up mean that would go against, would actually end up causing an increase in the tax rate. The selectmen chose to take and end up doing it out of this, because even if they did put this on the recap, does it make sense? Because now, this money here, if it goes into the general fund, will only be used to take and end up paying later, probably later in the year, as free, potentially, I say potentially, because we don't know, as free cash to take and end up paying for it. So you're probably better off trying to get it done now versus putting it on the recap.
But 2 and 2 should add up to be 4, not 5.
So my only concern is the bottom number, that we got 131,800 here, and the list shows 128,812.98, I believe. So it's off by 2980 or so.
Well, the one thing that we can be assured of, if it goes over there, if it's overextended amount being transferred, if there's monies extra,
Goes back
it should end up going
into the general.
into the general fund as free cash.
Okay, so basically, if we approve this at 131,800 and the number actually is
Is lo-
128,812,
Right.
then the balance.
The balance should
would
roll to
roll.
general fund as
Okay.
free cash.
Okay.
Once it's certified by the DOR.
Yeah.
And of course, if there's a past deficit, any money comes up as free cash this year, because you heard it, that the DOR said that we had to take and come up with 211. If there's no free cash to pay for that, it'll have to come out of the budget. Hopefully there's extra money. It looks like there is some money, if you look at the accounts, if they don't change from where they are, there is some level of money. There's not $211,000 in this year's, as far as that goes.
Thanks, Phil.
Do I have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to pay the thing.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to pay
Transfer.
$131,800 to the snow and ice out of the town administrator's salary, $1,775. The advisory committee's reserve, that's gonna be an interesting one, I have to report this, $36,000. The that's Conservation Commission Administrative Assistant, is $1,500. As you noticed, that when they consolidated, they ended up putting that, it's the one individual in that office. That's why there's extra money in there. Town vehicle fuel of $12,500. Fire EMS salaries, $17,500. Police salaries, $45,000. Cemetery superintendent salary, $7,525, and that's because when they combine the cemetery and the highway, I guess they're bringing most of the salaries out of the highway department. And the veteran's salary of $10,000. The veterans agent at this last year was limited as to how much he could get, even though there's $20,000 in the budget. And I don't know if anybody checked the numbers, but it
I
shows
did.
here as 131,800 also. If both of those are correct, We have a motion. Is there any discussion?
Well, reserves fund's got $280. We'll see if they can blow that away. Not really. I wish they'd learned that, we should,
Any discussion on this one? Any more?
someday we'll learn how to add.
Okay, so that's to take and end up moving from all those accounts into the snow and ice. Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. I will be signing these as of today's date.
Yep.
Okay. All OML documents, my recommendation, unless somebody wants to take it up discussing the documents that we received, is to table this action. Table this one. Until some other time later.
I'm gonna recuse myself from this vote, I'm just gonna go again.
What are we doing? Well, I didn't hear you.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
The documents that we received.
Which ones?
Did we receive them?
We got
Yes,
that-
we received documents from Curtis,
From who?
Rich Curtis.
Oh, those
And-
documents.
And that's what the discussion was, make sure everybody had their filing.
Yep.
Oh, yep.
And I don't wanna get into
No.
the actual documents today, that's why I said to
Yep.
table this.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right.
I
Yeah,
have
we
not
signed
received
off
any,
on that.
Yeah.
We did.
I have not received any other documentations
Okay.
Okay.
concerning anything.
Yep, so I'll read that. And read these.
Do I have a motion to take and table this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Seeing and hearing none? Darlene,
Yes.
Bev,
Yep.
Julie,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Old business and open issues.
So we're gonna do the 911 grant next
Yes,
meeting?
yes.
Okay.
I figured the primary reason for this particular meeting was to take and try to look at the documentation and get through the end-of-year transfers. Potentially, there could have been some out of Monday's meeting, and I have not been notified, and I looked in the box today, and there is nothing, so I'm taking it that there was no other transfers.
All right, so next week meeting is 911 grant.
Do we have a date for the next meeting?
The 19th. That's next week. It's our regular scheduled meeting.
Is the next meeting. At 6 o'clock?
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
All right.
Hey, wait a second. You can't pick on the individual that came late last time because she was here early.
Hey, I know, she was here first, so.
And I was
she
early
the
for the,
prize.
for the
Pick
I
on
made it.
anybody for being late.
Department of
I'm picking
Revenue.
on
I was the
myself,
chairman
they
and I was
usually
late.
pulling in the driveway on 2 wheels, so.
If I made it under the wire. The South Road ain't exactly smooth sailing.
Nothing under old business?
Okay.
take that as
Nope.
there's nothing under old business?
Nope.
Okay. Anything on the new business?
Yeah. Anybody else got anything?
No?
Well, I finally, my ship came in. And the paperwork we requested, we finally got from the town
Oh,
accountant.
that's, under your request?
Yeah.
Your
That's under
cemetery?
old business.
Oh, that's old business,
Open
I'm
issue.
sorry.
Yeah,
It was
'cause we
in-
talked about that.
Oh, all right, excuse me, I'm back up.
That's okay.
So, I got everybody copy. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff here.
More reading. Yay.
Now, you gotta think that these people put a chunk of money away a long time ago, and that had to be hard to come by on a good day. So it behooves us to keep an eye on,
Do you want me to pass them out?
yep,
I'll do that.
I think I got too many, let's see,
All right,
one,
just give
two,
one to
three,
Diane.
It's where the boss is. Now I know.
What?
Where the boss ain't here.
Right.
She's home
Here we go.
taking care of stuff.
Okay.
I got one,
She never
Okay.
misses.
Oh, my God. This is all the stuff that you asked for? Oh, my God.
yeah.
Next time, bigger print.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry,
Starting to see the same thing,
My
really.
arm's running out.
I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
So I looked through it, and one of the things that I found that was interesting was under the Green Lawn Cemetery. Under the Green Lawn Cemetery, there's a note on it that says that they will be transferring $17,578.34 from the general fund.
Huh?
Under the Green Lawn Cemetery paperwork.
Okay, so what, like in the pile, how far down are we
Oh,
going?
I don't know. That's why I figured you could look at it, and then at the next meeting, we can maybe talk about it, because there's a lot to look at. I was
Yes.
running kinda late, I didn't have time to pick it apart. So there's that, and then under the, Pine Grove, they're gonna be transferring $20,045.91 from the general fund for that. So, that kind of gives me something to wonder about, like, how come? Unless they took money out of here and they shouldn't have. Maybe there's a logical expense, logical,
Oh, yeah, I got one here.
So
This,
you go at the back.
we'll be transferring $20,045.91 from the general fund.
like where
What
in the
the-
general fund?
Pine Grove, yes, I see that. That's quite a ways into the
Yeah.
stack.
So you got lucky that you found it.
Yeah.
All right, so how do we
It's
figure
about
out what year
three-quarters of the way
it is?
through.
It's,
Three-quarters?
it says, fiscal year 2017.
And there's also one, a couple pages before that, we'll be transferring $17,578.34 from the general fund.
Yeah, like from where? That's what I wanna know.
Why are we taking money from the general fund to put into perpetual care?
I don't know.
Oh,
Unless the
Paul
money's-
asked for this.
unless the
Paul
money's-
Paul Sari, he's on the commission. I heard him ask for it so many times, and everybody kinda ignored him. So that I figured, well, you know what, I'm gonna ask for it. Because there was nothing in the town report since 2011. And historically, there was always complete reports. I didn't even ask for all of them. I should have, maybe next time.
Well, all the trust funds. You
Yeah, all
just
the
did
trust funds. I did
perpetual
the
care.
perpetual care. Artemis Lee, he's the man that grew all the trees in Templeton Center, all the elm trees.
Yep.
He planted all of those. And then there's a J. Hadley, and there's a P.N. Hadley. There's Pine Grove. There's, what's this one? So these people, you know, they put money away to take care of their cemetery plots for eternity. And I thought that we should just make sure everything's okay.
Well, I don't wanna go through all of these
No,
tonight,
no, that's
Val.
why
but
I brought them, so that you could look at them, if you had any questions. There's a couple things I question is,
Who wrote that? It's
I
on
don't-
handwriting.
I don't know.
We'll be transferring 17,000 from general fund, and then we'll be, it was like handwritten.
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
I don't know, maybe Kelly.
So the transfers that are coming out of there, could those possibly be the total balance of the account? Because I know that we were talking about establishing separate bank accounts for certain monies. So if we're talking about removing, I think it's whatever the transfer was for that trust that you were talking about, is that establishment of a new bank account for that trust money?
No, they're,
I don't have the documentation, so
Right.
yeah.
It's going into a ledger account here.
It's going in from the general fund balance into a ledger account.
Right.
And what's the ledger account title?
here, I'll give you a copy. As long as I got one for Paul.
It's toward the back.
Okay, I'm gonna take an end up,
Well,
asking you to take an end up,
Yeah.
bringing this up. I'll put this on the agenda for the next
It's
meeting.
about 10 or 12 pages from the back.
Yeah.
You'll find those
I got
notations.
real lucky, I
Yeah.
flipped right to it.
unless they took money out of it, but they shouldn't have, unless it was, I don't know how they use this money, that's a question.
Well, that's what all the front material is.
Yeah.
What it was expended on.
Yep,
I would say that everybody should look at this
yep,
over the next week,
yep.
come with some questions, and we can pass those along to,
Kelly, or somebody.
yes.
Well, that'll be my coffee reading for the morning.
Okay. Okay,
want
that
me
was,
to-
that was old business and open issues. Do we have anything on the new business?
No.
If there's nothing on the new business, I will take a motion to adjourn unless somebody has something.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
We have a
second,
motion to adjourn and a second.
yep.
All in favor?
Second,
Aye.
Bev,
Aye.
second?
Yes. All, any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta make copies of that. Take care of that.
Okay.
Okay.